Welcome to SaveMax Team Universal First Time Homebuyer Seminar. Before I begin, I would like to introduce you with our very talented and motivated team of SaveMax Universal. Our CEO, Mr. Amir Shamsi. Myself, I'm the broker of record for SaveMax Universal. Noor Sabah, Saima Somani, Abdul Muiz, and Anshu Kurana. At least once in our lifetime, we always have this question. We always ask this question to ourselves. Is it right time to purchase a home? Am I eligible to be a homeowner? Can I afford it? These all questions are valid, but the real question is, where can I get answers to these questions? And trust me, once you have answers to these questions, it becomes easier to decide. Precisely for this cause, we are here today to answer your questions and guide you through to this home ownership process. We have subject matter experts here from real estate, mortgage, and real estate law industries. Our guest speakers today, our very own Mr. Raman, CEO of SaveMax Real Estate, Zain from Bank of Montreal, bank mortgage specialist, and with him we have Danielle Pereira, Vice President Mortgage Specialist from Bank of Montreal. And we also have founding partners at Sabio Law, Mr. Kunwar Kohli and Gurpreet Chandok. Without further ado, we'll begin our seminar with Mr. Raman. Please, sir.
When I came into this country as an immigrant, I was not a realtor at that time, but this is what I learned, that real estate is one of the best medium to make money in this country. I strongly recommend every single individual whosoever comes into this country as an immigrant or youngsters to buy their house in the first year when they land in this country, or if somebody is born and brought up over here, the moment you get 21, you should start thinking of buying a property for yourself. It's very, very important, and believe me, my advice will help you to become a millionaire in this country. So it could be a first-time buyer when somebody is buying their house for first time, or that could be an upgradation of a property that you're selling a condo, or you're going to a bigger house, or you're selling a small detached and going to a bigger detached, or in some cases it could be a downgrade as well because of the age or because of any change in the family circumstances. So you're selling a bigger house and going for a smaller one. Or my most favorite, it could be a real estate investment. Before you even go to the process, the first thing which you have to do is make up your mind. It is very, very important to define your goals. Because if your goals are not clear, you're gonna be making a wrong decision. So when it comes to defining your goals, the most important thing is you have to examine your financial situation and you have to make an estimate how much you can afford in a home. That's very, very important aspect. Many times I have seen people just started thinking of buying a home and going and sitting in front of a realtor and say, I want to buy $1 million home, without understanding either you can afford it or not. Get spousal consent, very, very important. You don't want to be in trouble that you bought a house and every day you're having a problem. Canadian system says that you can have 32% of your gross income when they calculate the GDS and TDS. 32% of your gross income, you can keep it as your mortgage payments. Let's go a little bit more into details, like how you can plan your budget. Debt to income ratio. So it is housing cost plus any other debts should not exceed 40% of your income. And that is what I think is TDS, where it is your principal plus interest plus your taxes plus any other loan payments which you have to make. Now, mortgage pre-approval has some few points. First of all, it is very, very important to build a good credit history, especially when you come into this country as a new immigrant. For the new immigrants, they are very relaxed. If you are a new immigrant, and I think the definition of new immigrant is that you have landed in this country in last 5 years, or many banks, they consider 3 years. But I think on an average, it's 5 years, if I'm not wrong. So if you are a new immigrant and you have a job, confirmed job from last 3 months, you should be good. Proof of income stability, that is done by your pay stubs or your direct deposits or your NOAs. Many times, first-time buyers make that mistake. They plan to buy a house, but just before buying the house, they go and buy $20,000 furniture on installment. Or they go and buy a car on the lease. Please don't make that mistake, guys, because that might create trouble for you to qualify in the mortgage. As a professional, I will strongly recommend you guys to have your own realtor when you're buying a house, because a good realtor will always make sure that he provides you the information which you need to get. Now, how you can do that? Of course, first thing is you can check active agents in your area. You can have somebody who has good real estate knowledge, and that you can come to know by discussing, asking more and more questions, and see how much product knowledge, area knowledge that particular agent has. Tech savvy with some solid plan. This is also an important aspect in today's real estate world, that you need somebody who knows about technology as well. And it's very, very important to ask the right questions and look for a passionate person who has a conviction as well as honesty. So this buyer representation agreement is a document which is an understanding between the realtor and the buyer that you are hiring that particular agent, particular realtor, as your representative while buying the property. Now, why I encourage you to look into it and sign it? The first thing is, the moment any realtor signs a buyer representation agreement with you, he has a legal obligation to disclose all the facts and figures which he or she knows about the property or about that transaction. Second important thing why you should sign a buyer representation, because in that case, none of the realtor is going to pressurize you to buy the house.
For how long we have to stay in the agreement?
So there's no hard and fast rule onto this. That you can negotiate,
Okay.
right? But if you ask my recommendation, I would strongly recommend you to do it at least for 2 months.
Sorry to interrupt, but what if, I did sign up because, I started looking, but after a month I realized he's not putting effort in it. Now I'm stuck in a situation, right?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I really appreciate that. That is why I always tell people to do due diligence in a proper way. I'm not asking you to sign the buyer representation on the first day. Tell that realtor, show you some properties, 4 or 5 properties. Go and test him. So there are 3 important things which you should look in the house. The first thing is your living area. Very important. Everybody has to come. All the guests have to come over there. Living area should be good. Second is kitchen, and third is master bedroom. Rest, if you have to do a little compromise here and there, so if it is 90% or more than 95% of your wish list is fulfilled, you should be good. Now comes submitting the offer. Include the conditions of financing and inspection. That happens in the normal market, but especially in the market like today, sometimes you have to make sure your mortgage is pre-approved, so that if needed, it's a multiple offer situation, you can take the financing condition out. Inspection, again, it all depends upon property. Sometimes if it's a newer house, even the client asks, and we recommend, depending upon the situation, because we don't want the client to lose the property. But if situation permit, I always strongly recommend that you should do the inspection on the property. Check description on inclusions, fixtures and appliances, what is included in the property. Check the utilities. You can always request for a bill for the utilities to look for what could be your budget onto the heat and hydro. You can always request for the utility bills for last 6 months from the seller.
Okay.
And you can always get an idea how much is going to be your average utilities. Get bank draft ready for deposit amount. It's approximately $10,000 to $20,000 depending upon the market. So I mentioned it. That's the initial deposit which I'm talking. So when you're putting up an offer, you have to give a deposit. Of course, that deposit gets adjusted later on by the lawyer at the time of closing, and it goes into your down payment. It is not that money is going somewhere. And those deposits stays in the trust account in this country. So this is a beautiful thing. And those trust accounts are secured, insured, so you can be very well assured that your money is safe over there. Even if you're buying a builder's property, even in that case, the money goes into the lawyer's trust account. Now, once your property gets sold, so financing is done, inspection is done. Normally it is 5 business days, but again, there's no hard and fast rule. But in majority of the cases, if the condition is there, it is for 5 business days for financing and inspection. Um, it's a part of negotiation. Sometimes the buyers want 7 business days, sometimes the seller want 3 business days. So depending upon how the deal has been negotiated. Of course, after everything is done, your deal is firm up, or even during the conditional period, you can send the offer to your lawyer. You can even ask your realtor to put a condition there that the lawyer should review the offer before you make it firm. Now, hire a lawyer for the closing process. Approximately funds which you need for the closing cost, because that's another big question. Copy of the contract when signing at the lawyer's office. Most important, close with the confidence. I always tell people, guys, whenever you're moving to your first house, be happy. Just as a refresher, define your goals, plan your budget, get the pre-approval, prepare your wish list, hire a real estate agent. Very, very important, guys. It gives us business, okay? Don't forget that. Hire a real estate agent. And hire somebody from SaveMax. Sign buyer representation, find your ideal home, submit an offer, sold, pre-closing inspection, and then comes the closing. Also, guys, you can follow me on my YouTube channel, which comes with the name Rise with Raman. I keep sharing a lot of real estate information, knowledge about it. And you can follow me on my Facebook page as well, which comes with, again, the same name, Rise with Raman.
Hello everyone, I hope everyone's doing good. My name is Zain, I'm from Bank of Montreal. I'm with the bank for 8 years. I have my VP, Daniela Pereira, here with me as well today. Yes, it is very important as a first-time buyer to go into the market. But what I have noticed personally is, as a first-time home buyer, you just want to buy that dream home at the first place. And sometimes the budget is not there to help and support. Right now, what I'm seeing as a professional is most of the people who are buying properties like detached homes, they already own a property. They already have a down payment. They already have good source of down payment, which they are using their home equity right now and moving into their dream home now. Right? So as a first-time buyer, it's always be a good thing to start off from small. As a first-time buyer, the minimum down payment is, so you can go up to 500,000 as a 5% down payment, right? And anything over 500,000, you have to put 10%. Again, when you're buying a house less than 20%, there's a requirement that you need to buy an insurance. Most of the people know CMHC, right? So there are 2 more other companies, Sagan and Canada Guarantees, that you can go with. Plus, on top of the down payment, you need to have at least 1.5% as a closing cost that the bank likes to see that you have over and above your down payment in the TDSR, which has a percentage of 44. So what it means is that your annual gross income should not go over 44%. So if you're looking for pre-approvals and if you don't want to go and do any credit checks, we at the Bank of Montreal have solutions for you. We have mortgage calculators online that are available. So you can visit our website, you can do your own research. At the Bank of Montreal, the best part is getting pre-qualification gives you a ballpark figure about the mortgage that you can afford. The general rule of thumb is approximately 4 to 5 times of your steady household income that you can qualify for. One thing again I'd like to mention here that I come across a lot is, especially when you are self-employed, people think that the money that they're making, the money that's coming into their business, it's their income. So that's not right information. Actually, whatever you're going to declare to the CRA when you're filing your taxes, that's going to be our income the bank is going to look for. Is that we have a pre-approved mortgage approval and we have 130 days rate protection, which no other banks offer. This also stands us apart from the other banks, that we offer 130 days rate guarantee. And right now, at the moment, rates are going up for the fixed rate especially, because the bond yields, especially in the market right now, they are going higher, so the interest rates are going up. So things we need to know in the mortgage application, first and foremost, is proof of your employment history. So it's really, really very, very important that we understand this as an employment. So for the proof of income that regularly that we use, for example, if you're an employee, pay stub, T4s, bank statements where you have your direct deposits in, your notice of assessments, If you are self-employed, we look for T1 general, notice of assessments. If you have a corporation, articles of corporation, business financials, just to see how the business is doing and if we can use business as a backup. With the Bank of Montreal, we don't do lending based on the income and the numbers only. We look at the holistic picture of the client. And in credit, there are also something called 5 Cs, which I'm going to go through next. Typically, as a bank, we like to see that you have the money saved for at least 90 days. You have a money trail for 90 days. If you have money outside of the country, if you have the money trail for that, please do provide, because that's really help us. Sometimes as a first-time buyers, right now reading the article, it says now most of the people, they're getting support from their parents for the down payment, right? So if you're having gifted funds from the parents, you need to provide us something. We always need to see the money needs to be in your account 15 days prior of the closing, that gift money has already been deposited into your account. First and foremost that we look for is the client character. It's basically what we look for is assessing through the credit reports. For example, having information for at least 7 to 10 years. If you are a first-time buyer or you already bought the property, we look for how long you have the credit bureau for. You may sacrifice a lot of things when you're going into your first home. And if you end up being in the fixed rate mortgage, and if you decide to break the mortgage, and normally people go for 5 years, and let's say you decide to break the mortgage in 2 or 3 years' time, you may end up paying a lot of penalty. Then you're gonna have the notary lawyer, appraiser, land surveyor, home inspector, to help you to make that decision easier. Then it's the closing the deal. So when we are purchasing the offer as a home purchase, your name, seller's name, when this is the purchase agreement when you're making, so this is how the steps are. The purchase price that you wish to offer, the expiry date, BMO representative, that's me, to help you to close the deal and go forward. The final closing will happen in presence of your lawyer. So the lender, which is us, is going to providing the paperwork to the lawyer, the instructions, that how much we have approved the client for. Once we're going to send the instructions to the lawyer, they will see all the details, that how much you need to pay at the time of closing, and they will let you know how much scrap that you need to bring in to close the rest of the details. Right, so I have my information here. So my VP, Daniela Pereira, is with me today. Her information is also here. And myself, my name is Zain, so my information is also here. You can always reach out to us for anything, any information that you need, to help you in this process.
So here are a few things which, as a lawyer, we always recommend all the clients to kind of discuss these either with us or their agents before presenting an offer, because these are the issues we usually come up with at the time of the closing. Requisitions, rentals, chattels, title review by a lawyer, assumption of tenants, schedule provisions and stuff. A lot of the times things get added on the schedule which the clients are not aware of, or they should have added. And this is something that has to be discussed. So which is why, as Mr. Dua said, it's very important to have a right real estate agent from the get-go, because a lot of these issues can be rectified right in the beginning, and it doesn't have to be brought to the lawyer at the end minute. Everything else has been done in terms of your house is, what you're buying, you put in an offer, offer has been accepted, and mortgage is all sorted. Now it's time to close the deal, and you're at the lawyer's office, or even before that, we will be asking you how would you like to take the title to the property. Joint tenancy has a right of survivorship. So usually this is something that gets picked by the spouses. If something happens to one spouse, the other spouse gets the 100% interest in the property. So it's very important because you save a lot of money here. Not to go through probate and all that stuff, because that can be really expensive. When you are investing, let's say with your friends or family members who you want to go as, you want to still protect your interest in that transaction, tenants in common is more of a favorable thing for you. In that situation, you can go as 50-50, 60-40, 70-30, you pick the percentage. And if something happens to you, your interest goes back to your estate. It doesn't get transferred over to the other person on the property. So this is land transfer tax. When you buy a house, condo, or land in Ontario, you're subject to a land transfer tax, which is due upon closing. If you're purchasing a home in Toronto, it is important that for you to know that there's an additional Toronto municipal, what's called as a municipal land transfer tax. So you're paying tax twice if you're buying a property in Toronto. A lot of first-time home buyers are not aware of this and usually get introduced to this when they're talking to their real estate agent, and sometimes even when they're talking to their lawyer in the end. So it's very important to know this. If you are purchasing a property, you keep this in mind because your budget is going higher if you're buying in Toronto. There are a lot of calculators available online. You just have to plug in your purchase price. It'll give you a land transfer tax, how much you have to pay, just so that you can budget yourself and there's no surprises in the end when you're sitting with your lawyer and our lawyer is giving you a last number, the bank draft that you have to bring in. There are no surprises at that point. But this is how the government usually calculates. It changes over a period of time. As of now, the provincial land transfer tax, up to 55,000, they calculate as 0.5%, and then it goes higher and higher beyond that, and then the municipal land transfer tax is the calculation for that.
As to how the rebate works. So for example, let's say land transfer tax comes up to 8,000 and I have a rebate of 4,000. Does that mean I pay 4,000 or I pay 8,000 and I get 4,000 back?
No, so we claim that rebate at the time of the closing itself, so you're only paying $4,000 in that scenario. So if you are eligible for the full $4,000, then you are only paying $4,000 out of that $8,000. So this is land transfer tax refunds, as I mentioned, so you're eligible to up to $4,000. That limit is only available for any conveyancer disposition that took place on or after January 1st, 2017, which majority of the transactions that we'll be dealing with at this stage will be.
Thanks for the guest speakers, Raman, Zain, Daniela, Kohli sir. Thank you so much for joining us today. And it's good to see that SaveMax Universal is growing with all these digital seminars. And Raman sir, you know that Adnan is working very hard. So on behalf of Broker Record, Adnan, Shamsi, and the whole team, I'd like to thank everyone who attended today, and especially all the guest speakers. And inshallah, hope to get some more mortgages happening from BMO, I guess. But I'll make sure that Zain gets to work, and Daniel will like that, right? So thank you so much, and let's have some refreshments.